Hey there, guys, gals, fans, and pals. Your buddy John Megacycle here with another, well, actually, first in a series of Master of Orion 2 Battle at Antares. There's a lot to say about the Master of Orion series as a whole. I played this game when I was a wee nipper, 20 years ago, something, long time ago. This is effectively turn-based strategy in a space setting. You start with a single core planet, you expand, you search, you discover, you research, you build up a military, and then you beat the crap out of everybody else. The main objective for Battle at Antares is the Antarians. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. They're effectively an enemy alien species that will once in a while warp in, cause some chaos, and leave. You win by building the final jump gate, going to their home planet and destroying them. Kind of akin to like XCOM. In the very first few XCOM games that I'm very familiar with, your main objective is to go to Mars or the alien home planet, destroy the alien base, win the game. You've now saved humanity. That sort of a thing. You can also win a game of Master of Orion 2 by literally eliminating everyone else in the game. But let's just get right to it. I do want to take a couple of seconds and explain how the game functions as a whole. I don't know how many episodes I'll crank out of this game. To be absolutely honest, this game, now that I'm older, didn't age very well. I play games like Stellaris that are more real-time, and it just has more depth to it. But at the time, this game was an absolute treasure. Absolutely, and was well worth the time. I played a ton of hours into this. I'm still not good at it at all. We're going to go difficulty average, galaxy size small. I just kind of want like a quick-ish kind of a game. Galaxy age average. This shows what kind of richness some of the planets are. So more organic rich, which would be a younger age if there's a lot of vegetation and stuff. Mineral rich, it's older. The planets are more volcanic, as we can see here, or average. Average is a good playing field for everybody. Maximum players is 8. Starting tech level pre-warp means that you've got to research the bases and everything and all of the initial ships. Average means you get all of the start. You can build colony bases right away. You're already at the age of exploration. And then there's also post-warp, which is you get a bunch of starting structures already for you. Advanced is even farther up the chain. I like pre-warp, just because of the way I'm going to play. It benefits science-driven nations or science-driven races a bit more, because I can get faster to the exploration age. So I'm going to leave it at pre-warp. Tactical combat is required for me. Without tactical combat, you can't customize your ships. You can't do any custom fitting at all. It's just combat occurred, you're done. That's it. Like, without tactical combat, it's just done. Random events, they show up once in a while. And Antarians and Tauren's attack. Gosh. That allows the end game event for them to show up and do some damage, cause a little chaos. It adds a little bit of spice, a little bit of flavor. Go ahead and accept. We have 12, 13... 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. We have 13 unique races, each with different strengths and weaknesses, I guess. I usually play the Cylons. Scientific research, low gravity, large homeworld, creative, and dictatorship. Just tells you about everything that is customized about that race. So, we can go through all these. You got different strong suits. The Bulrathi are more combat-oriented. Humans are more economic, charismatic, and democracy. Gives them a little more cash, that kind of thing. So we're just going to go custom, because I want to show you the sheet. We get to select a picture. I'm just going to pick Cylons just so I take the picture. These are all of the presets that we can do to customize our race. We already have the Cylon default, which is dictatorship, +2 research per scientist, creative, low G world. Large home world on top of that. So if I clear and just say clear the bottom, clear the whole thing out, we'll start from scratch. We get 10 picks, they're called. We get 10 racial points. Let's call it that. If we don't spend it, we get a very, very big bonus of our score at the end of the game, but that's almost like suicide. We're not doing that. So Let's just pick through everything the Cylons would have. But I mean, you could just take a quick look and see everything that's here. So we'll do +2 research. So every single scientist produces 2 more research regardless of conditions. Dictatorship is the basic. Is it shift clicking that tells me? Oh, right clicking. We can get a bit of a readout. As a dictatorship, defensive agents receive a +10 bonus due to increased internal security. Planets suffer a -20% morale penalty unless they have a marine or armor barracks. Dictatorships assimilate captured population at the rate of 1 population every 8 turns. There are variances. Feudal is a little more brutal. In this case, the thing that we won't pick this for is feudal governments have all research generated by scientists reduced by 50%. That's a big no-no. Democracy is what the humans use. Due to the free exchange of ideas, all research generated is increased by 50%. Also, taxation is 50% more. So humans are like a really great start. If you don't know who to play, humans are pretty good all-rounders. However, I'm still going to go with the Cylon setup. So, one of the things that we have also, and we can't choose it because I already chose science, is creative. When you get to choose your research, you pick 1 out of 2, 3, or 4 available choices. So let's say, for example, engineering. Just trying to do an example here. As an engineering research, I can either say I want better armor, or I want a manufacturing structure, or I can have attack drones or missiles. If I don't have creative, I can only pick one of those things. But if I am creative, I get all of them. So I always like creative. Unfortunately, creative is a little too much. It's an additional 8 points. I only have 4 left. So low G world is how the Cylons do this to get a -5. So they get 5 more picks because they choose low G. Low G effectively means that my people were born and bred in a low gravity environment, which the problem with that is my people are a lot less resilient physically. The thing with that is if I chose high G, that means my people are a lot more resilient. They are born and bred in a higher gravity environment. They're better at fighting, they're better at physical stuff and all that. So low gravity is kind of the trade-off. My people are physically considerably weaker, so armies do less damage, that kind of thing. But I need that -5 so I can get my creative on. And I've got 1 more point to spend. The 1 point is normally here for the Cylon's large homeworld. It basically means that my race's core world is larger than the normal medium size. So these are the normal Cylon picks. We just walked through the whole thing, and this is what makes the Cylons. Now, the great thing about this game is the race customization. There's a lot of power here. If you wanted to go more physical or more ship combat, you can do so. You can make yourself manufacturing ships faster. You can have stealthy ships. You can be a lot of things. So there's a lot of cool stuff to tweak in here. But just for this go, we're just going to play as traditional Cylons. So accept my ruler name. I don't care. I always go red banner. Home star name is Mentor. Wow, this is a small freaking map. We're going to have combat very soon. So, the user interface is very straightforward. In the very upper right here, we have the star date, my current treasury holds, and whatever income or deficit I have. Starbase capacity. These are command points, right. So, command points allow me to have X amount of ships. So, I can't start the game with like 5 battleships because I don't have enough command points. If I don't have enough command points, I have to pay more money. It's a lot like ship upkeep in Stellaris or any other game that you have to have a certain amount of capacity. The capacity or the command points here basically represent how much fleet can I support. Having more star bases, having more planets, having more better research allows for more command points. So 6 is about the normal start. Any food that I'm getting net, positive or less. The transportation freighter fleet that I have. The freighters are what's needed to transport food in between my planets. So if I have an agriculture planet that it's really good with food and it's producing a ton of food, I need freighters to transport the food in between all the star systems. It's not automagic. You need something to transport the stuff. And then, of course, research. This tells me how many more turns I need until I get a breakthrough. And breakthroughs are what generate your tech. So, start the game off. Click on the research. These are all the branches of research and technology that I can go upon. Each has a title, so construction, power, chemistry, sociology, computers, biology, physics, force fields are the branches of science. And if I were to research one of these, I would get, because I'm creative, all of the research. So, if I wanted to emphasize on food production, hydroponic farms and biospheres would be a very good choice. I could right click on any of these and it'll tell me exactly what it does. What I like to mainline for is research. I'm a research race. If I click on one of the branches like computers, I can see what goes all the way down. In Stellaris, and I'm using Stellaris as a real big standoff to come here because Stellaris is a much more recent game that I could draw a lot of experiences from and that sort of a thing. In Stellaris, the researches are more random. Every time you research something, you get a fresh pick of 3 more researches, or 4 or 5, or whatever, depending on your loadout, and those are quote-unquote random. You can stack the deck a little bit, but they're fairly random. This one is a lot like Civilization kind of a setup. Is you research one thing, it gets you another thing. Like pottery. When you start the game off, you research pottery. Pottery gives you the granary. With engineering after that, you can do the pyramids or something. But like, you know exactly what's coming. So same thing here. What I want to aim for is a research laboratory. It generates 5 research points on its own, and each scientist produces 1 additional research. So I need electronics computer first. I'm going to go ahead and select that. No big deal. We kind of covered everything here. These are all of the systems that are able to be taken. This is different from Stellaris, where there are no hyperlanes. You can move to any place you can as long as you have enough fuel and enough range. Down at the bottom, our colonies are broken down into what they're doing. We could do sorting. We could do a bunch of stuff here. I'm just going to kind of skip that for now. Our individual planets that are broken down in our control. We can plan, hey, Mentar 4 looks pretty good. It's abundant minerals, low gravity, or normal gravity. It's not great for food, though. But we have to have conversations like that, and this is where you do that. Fleets, we don't have any fleets, but this is where we would manage all of our fleets. We would assign leaders. They're called leaders in this game. You assign leaders to a fleet to boost its power. Leaders are here. The way in which leaders work in this game is a leader will come to you and propose a job. They'll say, hey, I have these traits, these abilities, these benefits. I'm bringing this research for you free of charge, but you have to pay me. So the research, you don't have to pay for the research specifically. The leader will come with the research. So when I say free of charge, I mean the research is. But you have to pay for the person. You pay the leader to work for your empire. So that's how that works. Info. This breaks down from a more graphical perspective of all the things I'm doing. Let's see, turn summary. There's no messages because the turn hasn't elapsed. Any race statistics. I've only met myself. This would have a breakdown of any contacts we've had. A tech review. This is all the technology I have. And a histograph is literally, how am I doing? You can see a little chart here, but we're still on turn 1. And then a breakdown of our net income. So, let's talk about the planet stuff. A lot of preface here before we actually get started, because as this being turn-based and I kind of know what I'm going to be doing, I'm kind of going to be hammering through a bunch of this without much explanation. So I want to get all the explanation out of the front, get it all done. So, deep breath. Whew. We are on the planet, colony of Mentar 3. We have a couple of things here. We've got other planets in this system on the left. We have up here, the left is how much we are spending in maintenance, and the right is how much we're making extra. BCs. I don't really remember what BCs stand for. Billion credits. Why not? Food. This is all the food that is being grown and spent. If we had the little gap there, right there, left is what's being consumed, right is extra. So that's kind of how this game denotes how much you're producing versus how much you're consuming. We have 4 farmers, 2 workers, and 2 scientists. Oh, I forgot about this. This is the government and morale display. So if I left click on it, it tells us how our people are feeling and what is the result. Because of our government type, we have a minus 20%. We have a marine barracks, which gives us the 20% back. There's no morale. Morale can be shifted by taxation. We can actually change our taxation policies. and say we want to charge more for people to just exist. In wartime, that could be very helpful, but right now I think our taxation is literally at 0%. Over here is the build screen. This is where we specify what we're building. On the left are structures that are for our colony. On the right side are vehicles, spies, units, ships, all that stuff. We only know of the colony base and the spy right now. Spies are used to either act as intelligence, counterintelligence, sabotage, or steal things such as technology. We are not going to be building any of that. It's only turn 1. 17 turns is a ridiculous amount of time. I don't really want to build anything, so I'm just going to take my workers and chuck them here. We are now producing 20 research points a turn. The icons will close up and make it more simplistic when it's multiples of 10 or 100 or something. So it's easy. So there's 5. If I have 2, that's 10. 3, that's 15. And 4, and that's 20. Let's talk about the build queue one more time when I come back here. So there's 2 buildings that you can always make all the time. They never really finish. But trade goods, every unit of production turns into BCs, as in money. Housing, every unit of production improves colony growth. So if I was a lot more of like a really want to fill out my planet first of people and really spin stuff up quickly, in the upper right we can see we have 8 million populace with a growth of 89,000 a turn. If I put it in here, all this production is going into building more housing. I actually added about 50k to that number. So we're just going to put these guys back on research. There's a lot of research I want to get done. On the bottom here shows us all the buildings that we currently have in our colony. We have some housing. We have the capital structure. Losing the colony capital building, severe effects, of course. Okay. We have our marine barracks, which produces our marines, which are displayed here. This is our standing army, 3 units of marines, and our starbase. Starbase allows us to build better ships. Without a starbase, you can't... I don't think you can build any ships, actually. Been a while, but that's okay. Here's where we assign our leaders to a colony. And that's it. So that was a bit of a brief walkthrough. It was only brief. That was like 20 minutes. But we have, now that we've specified our research, 5 turns approximate. We're producing 20 RP. Now, this is 50 RP. You might be like, hey, John... you got 20 RP a turn. 20 times 5 is 100 RP. You'd be correct. That's bad math. The way it works down, actually, is you get a better chance for a breakthrough after you've reached the quota. So, very quick mental math. 20 times 2.5 would get us our 50. So why doesn't it say like 2 or 3 turns? Well, once we reach the full amount... there's a very good random chance for a breakthrough, but it's not always 100%. So there's a little bit of randomization in terms of the research. I still want electronics computer, and I think that's everything about the user interface with this game. I'm going to go ahead and skip a turn. Very straightforward. Stardate changes. Whatever income I got was added to my pool. The command points don't accumulate. It's just 6. It's always just your maximum minus whatever upkeep you have. I don't have any ships. I'm not producing any extra food. I don't need to mess with fleets or transportation network. This went down by 1 turn. Skip another turn. So now, 2 turns have elapsed. I have a 20% chance of completing this research. Skip another turn. I now have a 60% chance, even though I met the original 50 RP requirement. And we'll skip it again. Cool, breakthrough. So now our science advisor comes and tells us, hey, this is the stuff you research, an electronics computer. Effectively, this increases the chance to hit on our ships by 25%. Fairly simple stuff, but that's not my main goal. I want this research laboratory. I'll get some other stuff too, and we'll explain it when we get that far. But what I really want is that research lab. It's going to give me a structure I can build to produce more research. So my researchers are good at research. I want them to be better. It adds an additional point. Kind of makes sense. Now, there's something I want to note. If you hear the audio's a little staticky, I tried my very best to work around that. So it might come off as a little misty or foggy or whatever. I'm using DOSBox, and I really tried to get the audio dialed in. It's just something I'm going to have to deal with, and I do apologize, unfortunately. The audio is usually a little crisper, but for whatever reason, couldn't get it to fly. But anyway, let's check on our planet. There's not a ton that changes in the first few turns. I still have my 8 populace. You gain a new population after every million, so every single individual character here is a million. Okay? There's really nothing for me to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip a few more turns. Since we're pre-warp, I have to research... Oh, okay. Well, hang on. Let me finish my thought. Since we're pre-warp, I have to go through and research all of the things that would allow me to expand and explore. So right now, no one has any of it, so this adds for a slower start, which is nice. Okay. We have our first leader, Commander Altos, the Alkari pilot, has come to me and said, hey, I would like to work for you. Can you pay me? This leader comes with a bunch of stats. Fighter pilot. I actually can't click on any of this, but fighter pilot, helmsman, and navigator. These are all ship attributes. I'll get an option to reject or hire. I don't have the money. So he just says he'll just wait to see if you can raise the 120. So I have to reject him. There's really nothing I could do about it until I had the money anyway. Let's skip a few turns. Cool, another breakthrough. The Dauntless Guidance System. Let's see here. Provides friend or foe recognition guidance to missiles and torpedoes. They will retarget the nearest enemy ship if the first target is destroyed. Very cool. The Optronic Computer adds another bonus to hit, plus 50 to the chance to hit. And of course our research laboratory, which is what I wanted. Houses state-of-the-art computer equipment, creating a superior research environment, generates 5 research points, and increases the research by each scientist. Read that wrong. The research each scientist produces by +1. Cool. So now, we'll have better research once I build that structure. There's 2 paths that I usually go next. It's biology. The hydroponic farm allows farmers to produce more. Oh, actually, hydroponic farm just gives me 2 free food. But after that comes soil enrichment, which allows each harvester or each farmer to harvest 1 more food. And also cloning center, which kind of tells you already, it allows population growth. A lot of cool stuff if we go down the biology list. The other thing I like to go for is construction. For this is the automated factories, aids industry workers in their building of finished products, generates 5 production, and increases the production of each worker by 1. So now, what this game kind of builds is a lot of automation and production, so I don't actually have to have physical workers. The buildings and the planet in itself will actually produce work for me, which is awesome. Let's go down construction. So I'm going to get all 3 of these things before we get anywhere. But first, I do want to build my new research lab. Down here in the middle, if you haven't noticed, there's a bit of a queuing system. So if there's idle time, I can queue up to 9, 2, 4, 6, 7. I can queue up to 7 things to just do whatever. I can also repeat build. So if there's anything that it's like spy, I want like hundreds of spies, I could click repeat build and then spy. And now it'll repeat itself ad infinitum. Let's just delete that. Very cool. How many turns until this research lab? 6 turns. Okay, very cool. That's worth it because that's going to boost my science production. Now, one more thing to note. With all terms of production, there is waste. The waste counts against my production. So the problem is, in order to produce this much stuff, I'm producing a lot of waste. Does it say? Yes. So my workers are actually producing 12 units of work. We are losing 2 due to pollution, which means I'm actually only producing 10. If I remove 1 worker, let's take a look. 9 are being produced, 1 pollution penalty, 8 total industry production. So let's see, how does that change this? Okay, that actually changed it by 2 turns. So I actually want you back in there. Now, after a certain point, after we become more wealthy, we could actually buy one of the structures. We could just buy them right out. We pay for a certain amount of production to finish the task, but it completes. This is very similar mechanics to colonization. I've played that game several times. Civilization will allow you to pay gold to complete a task. And the idea behind that is you're hiring external work. They're coming in and doing the job. You're paying them with the money. You're not just magicking resources out of nowhere. So, that's exactly what I want. Play for a couple more turns, and then I think that might be enough for one episode. We actually covered a lot. I'm not producing any research. All my dudes are workers right now, so let's just skip a couple of turns. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Research lab is complete. Now, we're producing 5 RP, just like I said before. The research lab by itself is producing research. And now, instead of the 20 we were making, we're making 29. So, real quick math. The scientists themselves are producing 12. 8 from Cylon bonus, and that's where we were before. The research lab produces 5 on its own, and +1s to every researcher. So now, instead of producing 20, we're producing 29 research. We can now research a lot faster. That's why I wanted to emphasize the research first. Want to make sure that we got that electronics branch knocked out. So now, skip a couple of turns. We've met our first alien culture. The Trillians. Trillarians. Tralalians. The galaxy offers a great many treasures, Emperor Amos. It is our hope that we can share this vast wealth of resources. So depending on who you come across, if you come across more militant alien cultures, they might be like, hey, get the heck out of our way, your face is stupid, and punch in the head until you ain't got a head no more. Bah, 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 bah. Or whatever. These guys seem pretty lit. Go into races, and we can actually have an audience with them, declare war. We can ask for a report on them, if there's any information that we know about them. We probably don't know anything because we don't have any active spies. We can see what colonies they have. We can see any weapons, equipment. We can see kind of their tech and what they're about. I'm going to see if we can have an audience with them. Now, more charismatic species like the humans would have a better time dealing with alien cultures. I don't have any of the charismatic stuff. I don't have any negatives either. So it's kind of a roll of the dice. What I like to do is propose treaty, a trade treaty. Such an offer is not welcome at this time. Okay, what about a research treaty? I'm honored to accept the research treaty on behalf of the honorable and just Emperor Ouroboros. Holy crap, I just got done watching Alchemy. Oh crap, now what was the name of that anime? Oh, Full Metal Alchemist, duh. It took me a second there, my brain was just squealing. So Ouroboros is actually really funny because of that. Feels it would lose more than it gained. Okay, how about a non-aggression pact? Your proposal's rejected. Okay, but we got the research treaty. The way the treaties work for the financial and the research treaty is we have to pay some BC, some credits up front for a couple of turns. After I think about 10 turns, the treaties then begin repaying and making money out of it or research out of it. So for the first 10 turns, I think I'll have to pay a fee, and so will Lord Ouroboros. After the 10th turn or whatever, I forgot what it is, we'll actually be producing research off of each other without any more investment. So it's actually really cool in the early game if you can get some really good relations going on. You could actually make it, you can make a good profit off of other nations, and they can make a good profit off of you. Over here is the current feels this empire has to my people. They are relaxed. Our situation will improve the more we play and the more treaties we come across if we form a defensive pact or an alliance or whatever. That's how that'll work. Right here is where the spies would be if I had any. And these are the current orders for my spies. They can either espionage, and we can learn more about this nation. Sabotage, where we'll destroy their stuff. Or hide, which means don't just hide. Just stay there, but stay hidden. Espionage is also where we will steal technology from someone else. So, that's really about it there. I think I'm going to call this right here. We've actually covered a ton. There's Trilar, their core planet. Yeah, we've covered a lot here in Master of Orion 2. I think that's enough for one. My brain is smoking just talking that all through. Thank you a ton for joining me. My name's John Megacycle, and I hope to see you for another episode of Master of Orion 2. Peace. Hey there, guys, gals, fans, and pals. Thanks for checking out my video. I also want to take a moment to thank all my supporters and donators, and if you'd like to join up with me and game with my crew, all the information to get connected is in the description below. Thanks again, and I hope to catch you next time.